everybody, to SPEARATICS by Sideline Sports Network. I got three co-hosts. One maybe coming in a little bit late. Two of them won't be here at all. They've got other things going on tonight. James is coaching in his high school's. I think this is their state championship game, if I'm not mistaken, or playoffs game. Taylor has got some other errands that he's having to do, and Chip should be the one that's coming in late. But as they always say, the show must go on. So first off, I'm going to bring up that the AP poll has our Noles ranked at number 20. It's been a while since we've been in the top 20. It's been a while since we've been ranked. It's also been a while since Florida State has performed the way that they're performing in the last three ball games. We beat Georgia Tech 41-16, and then we beat Miami 45-3, and then we beat Syracuse 38-3. It's the first time in since 2013, if I'm not mistaken, that we've had back-to-back games with not allowing an offense to score a touchdown. That being the Miami game and then the Syracuse game, we didn't allow a touchdown. We only allowed 3 points, causing it to where Florida State has outscored its opponent in those two games 83-6. That sounds like old Florida State numbers. That sounds like what former Florida State teams used to do. So it's really satisfying to hear that, we're on the journey of this climb that Coach Norvell calls it, and that we're moving in the direction that we are. I think a big reason why we went 0-3 in that stretch of play against Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson was due to injury. We didn't really have an interior push on the defensive line. It's unfortunate that we lost those three games, but we went on that, what was it, a 4-game win streak. Then we lose 3 in a row. Now we've won 3 in a row. We're going to go play the Raging Cajuns this weekend. They're going to be coming to Doak Campbell Stadium. The game's kickoff is at 12. It's only televised on local television, which is RSN. That's Regional Sports Network, which means a regional channel, if you're lucky, is going to pick up the game. There will be YouTube links. I will provide those YouTube links in the SPEARATICS group. I will also be sharing those on social media as far as Twitter, Facebook, and stuff to that nature, because you can find it on the ESPN app. If you have the ESPN app, the Watch app, you can also find it on YouTube with those links so you can watch the game. Or if you're extremely lucky, you get to go to the game and watch it in person. We are going to play against a Louisiana team that is not very good at all. They, as a matter of fact, are very bad this year. Their former head coach, being now the current head coach at the University of Florida, the lovely Gators that we just can't stand, the AKA Lot Lizards, that will be facing the last game of the season. There's been some, pretty cool stuff that's been brought up here lately. Only 4 teams are ranked in the top 20 for both total offense and defense in the country. It's Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, and then us. That's a pretty good crowd to, to keep. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Mike Norvell earlier in his press conference said that he didn't play the QB freshman AJ Duffy because we want to keep him under 4 games. And if he plays, then he's at risk of losing his red shirt. Same thing for Rodney Hill. Same thing for a lot of our redshirt freshmen. The reason you didn't see him in the third or fourth quarter of the Syracuse game, as far as AJ Duffy goes and Rodney Hill again, is because we don't want them to lose their red shirt. They've played in their 3 games this year. We can't risk them playing another one. They played their 4 games, We can't risk them playing in another one. So You won't see Rodney Hill and you won't see AJ Duffy for the rest of the season. But we've got to see, we've got to see them play this year. That we've had games into situations enough to where we got the young guys in, to where we got to see what the Rodney Hills and the AJ Duffys and the Armellas get to do, and the Brian Courtneys, the Sam McCalls. We got to see them play. The Azariah Thomas, he got an interception that was absolutely an amazing catch. So there's a lot of good things going on for the Noles. I'm gonna give you a few more stats that are pretty decent. We've got like I said, the 2 straight games with no touchdowns allowed. We've got 5 straight 200-yard rushing games. That's the first time since 1995. We've got 12 different players caught at least one pass. 9 different players credited with a tackle for loss. Jordan Travis had a 91.3 completion percentage, was a single game career high. Second player in program history to rush, receive, and pass a TD in the same game. Earlier, we put this in the group. He is the second athlete at Florida State to ever receive, rush, and pass for a touchdown in a single game. Do y'all know who the second one is? Do you know who the first one was to ever do it? If you want to, you can comment your guesses over here on the side. If you're doing it on Facebook, unfortunately, I can't see it. This is why I tell people to please go to the YouTube channel. Facebook is making it harder and harder for us to do these on Facebook. I highly advise people to go to YouTube, make a quick profile, subscribe to the channel, and please watch the show from there. It helps tremendously if you do it. It's great that Florida State is going back to what they used to do. We're getting to see what Florida State is all about under Mike Norvell's era now that he's got a little bit of time under his belt here, a decent amount of players that he's handpicked to be here. So what we're getting to see the Noles do is absolutely amazing. Paul, what's up, buddy? Hope everything's going good. Everything's going good on our end. I will touch base a little bit on recruiting tonight. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. I mainly want to talk to you about where the Noles have came from over the past 3 years, 4 years, and where we're at now. It's we had a multitude of fans that were saying that we went and hired a G5 coach. It was the wrong hire. It was a job too big for Coach Norvell. He wasn't ready for this type of pressure. He wasn't ready for Power 5 football. Then there was a multitude of coaches that wanted, or multitude of fans that wanted Coach Fuller gone as well. Coach Fuller right now is coaching a top 20, if not a top 15 defense right now. Our defense has done so well in the past 3 games. We've outscored our opponent like 128 to, what was that, 16, 22 points. So our defense has done pretty well. If you don't believe that our defense has done well, go back and look at the statistics. Our offensive line's doing great. We've only given up, I think, 16 sacks this whole season. That's amongst some of the best ones in college football right now. Believe it or not, there's teams that you would imagine have allowed or should have allowed fewer sacks than Florida State, and you wouldn't believe that Florida State's ahead of them in that statistic as well. Florida State also is rushing for the most yardage after contact. Florida State's also number 1 in just various categories when it comes to rushing the football anyway. We're also number 1 in the league for plays over 20 yards. There's a lot of things that Florida State's doing well under Coach Norvell, under what Coach Atkins is doing on the offensive line. What we are all doing as fans by traveling with this team. We went to 3 stadiums this year and have ran the home opponent completely out. We went to LSU this year. We ran them completely out of the stands. We went to Miami this year, which that's Doak South, so it was basically a home game. But the Miami fans that were there, by the beginning of the third quarter, they were all gone. So it was just Florida State fans and Doak South. We went to where else did we go? When Syracuse. We just went up to New York. By the third quarter, we ran all their fans out, and it was just a section of Florida State fans. It's something that the fans are doing this year. That there's more and more fans bought into the climb than what we've had in the previous years. The previous 2 years, we've had a lot of naysayers, but I will give the naysayers this. A lot of them, based off of receipts that are being put out, are coming and saying that they were wrong. There were Miami fans that said if Florida State won 7 games this year, that they would put a Florida State profile picture up for a certain amount of time. There were Miami fans that stated that they would do the chop at the end of the Florida State-Miami game if we beat them. There were Miami fans, and there's Gator fans right now. The Gators say if they come to Doak Campbell and we beat them, that the Lot Lizards will do the chop. We're going back to what we used to look like. Are we there yet? No, we're not there yet. Are we closer now than we were 2 years ago? Absolutely. Are we as close to going back to what Florida State football is supposed to look like than we have in the past 5 years? Absolutely. This is what Coach Norvell and this coaching staff has to do. We've got to talk Jordan Travis into coming back another year. We got to talk Trey Benson into coming back another year. We got to talk Trayshawn Ward into coming back another year. We got to talk Bethune and coming back another year. Kalen DeLoach and coming back another year. Fabo could come back. It's up to Fabo whether he comes back or not. But why don't we run this back one more year? Why don't we run it back one more year? If we could get Jamie Robinson to come back. If we could get Jared Verse to come back. What we could do with the experience on this team if we have one more year, and with adding some more key components that we got coming from this true freshman class. If you get the Johnny Wilsons to come back, if you get Michael Pittman to come back, all these different key players, if we could get them to come back for one more year, what could this team be, and what would they do? Would they make it to the college football playoffs? Are we going to finish 10-3 this season? It's very possible. When we had 3 games left, ESPN gave us like a 12% chance of winning out. Now that we've only got 2 games left, we've got a 67.5% chance of winning out this season. I'm praying that we win out. We either go to the Cheez-It Bowl or the Gator Bowl, so we end up in Orlando or Jacksonville. Don't really care who the opponent is. Obviously, I want it to be a decent opponent, but I don't care which one it is. We have a lot of things going in our favor here at Florida State. There's a coaching staff that is starting to prove itself not only to the athletes, but is also proving it to us as fans, us as boosters, us as the media out here, period. Not just Florida State media, not local media, but national media is realizing that Florida State's back. One of the greatest things that I've got to see all weekend, other than Florida State putting Syracuse in their place in their own home stadium, was after the game. If you didn't watch it, the clip has been put up multiple times, but please go watch this clip where they're interviewing Coach Norvell after the game. And y'all know who Mark Richt is. If you don't, you should. Mark Richt was a player at Miami. He was a coach at Florida State. Then he became a head coach at Georgia. And then he became a head coach at Miami. And now he's an analyst for ACC Network. He's on with EJ Manuel, another Florida State former athlete. He asked Coach Norvell, he said, "Can you do me a favor, Coach? I know it's not this game. I know it's the last game of the season, but can you go and kick the Gators' ass for me?" It was absolutely one of the best feelings that I've ever had. And, if you don't know this about Coach Mark Richt, I believe that it's Parkinson's, and I don't want to misquote what disease that he has, but he had to stop coaching due to the disease that he has now. And I would love to go and win against the Gators, not just for him, but if we could give it to him, it would be great. Mark Richt's done a lot of things for Florida State when he was here as a coach. Mark Richt's a class act. Um, he didn't allow when he was the head coach at um, when he was the head coach at Miami. He didn't allow those guys to act out or act crazy towards Florida State. He kept them under wraps for the most part, best as you can, as best as any coach has ever done. Mark Richt's just a class act. He's a great guy. I personally believe he's a Seminole at heart. I understand that he coached the Georgia Bulldogs for a while. He also coached Miami as a head coach. Unfortunately, he didn't get that opportunity at Florida State. During his tenure, it was the Bowden era. And then Jimbo Fisher came in as the interim head coach. And then we had the Jimbo Fisher era. And by the time it was time to possibly get a Mark Richt, he was the head coach at Miami. So unfortunately, we never got to have Coach Richt here as a head coach. I would have loved to have him personally, but it didn't work out. But I still believe at heart he's truly a Nole. So it'd be really awesome to go and win this game for him. Moving on a little bit off of Coach Mark Richt, which keep him in my prayers constantly because of Parkinson's. It's a hard disease to deal with. All diseases are probably hard to deal with, but that one's extremely hard on your physical body. So completely keep him in our prayers at all times. Like I said, I think he's a true Nole at heart. Florida State's going to go and potentially give us a 10-win season. Can anybody tell me the last time Florida State had a 10-win season? I personally can. Just want to see if you guys can answer it for me. And what I want you to do is I will answer the question that I asked earlier. I don't think I saw anybody put up the answer. Let me see if I can find the name again. I know that the Nole that did this the first time, it was in 1949. The one that was able to pass, receive, and rush for a touchdown. He was a running back, and his name was Red Parrish. Red Parrish. 2016 is what everybody's telling me was the last time we had a 10-win season. Pretty sure that that's correct. Let's see. That is correct. 2016 was the last time the Florida State had a 10-win season. 2015, we also had a 10-win season. 2014, we had a season that went 13-1. That's the first year of the college football playoffs. We won our first bowl game. Then we went on and played Oregon, and we got absolutely smacked. In the year before that, 2013, we went 14-0 to win the last BCS national championship that was ever played for. There's so much history at this school, at this university, of what we've been capable of doing and what Florida State has done, that it's second to none. What Florida State does in the history, what Florida State's doing now, we're always making it in the record books. We've had a rough 4 and 5 years here, but look at where just minor time of the 3 years that we've had Coach Norvell, where we're at right now. Look at where we are. We've got a running back room that's absolutely stacked. If we have all of them return, you got Trey Benson, Trayshawn Ward, Toa Philly, C.J. Campbell, Rodney Hill, and then this new kid that transferred from Penn State to Florida State. Forgive me, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he was a good back at Penn State. He decided to transfer and walk on at Florida State, I think to be closer to his family. But we've got those 6. And then you've got, I think, a Singleton coming in for the 2023 class, 4-star running back. Kid has got absolute just awareness, alertness. His ability to cut, his ability to get downfield in a hurry is absolutely amazing. So our running back room is stacked. We want to keep it that way. I think next year you're going to see just a plethora of just running back plays. You're going to see packages where 2 running backs are in at the same time. You're going to see packages where running backs line up in the slot receiver position and still have one in the backfield. It's going to be absolutely amazing with what you can do with the amount of talent we have in the running back room, the amount of talent that you're going to have in the wide receiver room next season. If we can get these guys to come back, run it back 1 year, just 1 year, and let's see what the Noles can do in a full year after we have our identity. We know what we are. We know what we can do. We have offensive linemen, defensive tackles that are coming in. Antavius Woody, we recruited him as an offensive lineman, and we switched his position to a defensive lineman because of how well he's been able to pursue after the quarterback. If you haven't been able to see any of their practices, as I have and Taylor and James, we get to see the practices where some of the athletes that you don't know about yet, how good they're doing in practice. Like Taylor and I were so ready to see Brian Courtney this year, and we can't wait to see him when he's full-time next year at the tight end position. I also think that we're going to line him up at fullback from time to time because we have that I formation set where right now we're using DJ Lundy as the fullback to get us into the end zone when we need to power run it in, or even pass it in like we did. We dumped it in the end zone. I think it was against Miami, if I'm not mistaken. But we've got just a great amount of athletes that are coming in. You've got Quayshawn Sapp that's going to be in next year. You've got Julian Armello that's going to be in next year. You've got Daniel Lyons that's going to be in next year. And a kid that we haven't seen this year is Jarrell Powers. He was one of the top tight ends in the 2022 recruiting in the recruits. He's going to be here for Florida State in this next year coming up. Very excited to see what he's able to do, what his capabilities are. And I mentioned Antavius Woody previous to this. And then another gentleman that is beyond his years in physicality is Io. Once he gets lined up as the defensive tackle, it is going to be absolutely amazing. If Fabo does decide to leave and go into the NFL draft, I don't think we take a big step back. I think Io is going to be a huge get for Florida State. He's been here. He has constantly practiced with the team. He does an amazing job of getting to the quarterback. He does an amazing job of disrupting what the offense is trying to do. He's going to be – I think his name is going to be huge here at Florida State. I think that we've got Azariah, who's going to just absolutely light the field up with his abilities. Then you've got number 36, Omar Graham Jr., the linebacker, the only linebacker we took in the 2022 class, and how well I think he is going to do his first full year. I'm so excited to see these young men play. We saw Omar Graham play in the first game of the season against what was the name of that team? Duquesne. Then, a gentleman we've been waiting on. Unfortunately, he had an incident this year, and we haven't got to see him this year. And it's going to be that we get to see him next year right off the bat, and that's Winston Wright, the transfer from West Virginia. That wide receiver is going to be, that's who Taylor, myself, and I believe James also picked him to be our leading receiver before he had an incident. But Winston Wright's going to be here next year. We are going to have so much talent around us that I see no reason that we're not a top 4 team next year. If we can get these guys to come back, we should be able to run the table on who we've got. Then you got to think about Greedy Vance. I think he's had 3 interceptions this year so far. He's been a blanket covered monster for wide receivers. A lot of this stuff I feel like is overlooked. I feel like that us as fans are just so caught up in us winning and losing that we're not seeing the potential that's coming back next year, the potential that we're not getting to use this year based off of injury this year. So when we get these other key components in with what we've got now, the sky's the limit. This team could be another great Florida State team. This could be Coach Norvell's first year, next year being the first year that we go to the college football playoffs under his era. Because Florida State, because this question was asked, Florida State has been to the college football playoffs. The first year it happened was 2014. We went to the playoffs that year. And then you got to think, this monster of a player that's been already making himself known this year, and that's Patrick Payton. He is going to be a sack guru. He has lit up the field as a freshman this year. So having that returning back to Florida State. Guys, I'm literally naming player after player here. And if you have the Kalen DeLoach, the Tatum Bethune, the Pat Paytons, the Ios, Brandon Farmer, just all of these guys come back and we have them, what this team would be capable of doing next year, I think will succeed or exceed what most fans think could happen. And it's based off of getting a few key players back. If we can talk Jay Trav into coming back, which I personally think he returns, based off of conversations that I've had, I believe he returns, and we run this thing back one more year. And then that gives us the opportunity to bring in or give A.J. Duffy another year to really hone in on this offense and really learn another year and get to see him come in the games on the third quarter. Because that's what I want to see next year. I want to see next year where damn near every game that we play, we've got an A.J. Duffy or a Rodemaker come in on the third quarter, and Jay Trav's on the sideline with his ball cap on. Anytime you see Jordan Travis wearing a ball cap, it's a good game. And I want to see Jordan Travis wearing a ball cap every damn game next year. I'm not saying that he will. I'm just saying that's what I hope for. I would much rather see him wearing the ball cap in the majority of the games, if not all of the games. We've got so many things that this team would be capable of doing next year, and it's just based off of the recruiting pitch that you do with the current players that you got here. The 2023 class is ranked 18th at the moment. I think you got 3 to 5 more guys that are going to sign. The lowest amount would be 2, but I personally think we've got 3 to 5 that are going to sign. And I think we finished in the top 15 this year. And here's the thing. Like, everybody wants to see us recruit better. I'm not going to say that I don't want to see us recruit better. I do. But look what Norvell's been able to do with 3 stars. Look what Norvell and his staff is being able to develop. Look at what he's turning 3 and 4 stars into. If they were a 4-star, I would be subject to say they're 5 stars now. If they were 3 stars, they're either high 4 stars or possibly 5 stars themselves. What this staff is doing in development is absolutely second to none. And then you got to think about the transfer portal. We might bring in a couple of key players, and look at what he's done with the transfer players that we've gotten in this past season. Look what he's done with the Nobody wanted Johnny Wilson. They said he had stones for hands. He couldn't catch the ball. Now he's got some of the strongest hands in college football. Nobody wanted Trey Benson. He got completely ridiculed for bringing in Trey Benson. Ridiculed. Said that it was a one-legged running back, that we had peg leg coming in. And he leads our running back room with rushing yards and all-purpose yards. He's very close and should hit the 1,000 mark this year. That's what he said his goal was. If you remember at the beginning of the season, he said that his goal was to get to 1,000 yards. It's very doable. We've got 2 games left without the bowl game that we're going to be playing in. We've got 2 games left. If he gets 160 yards in each game, which that's not the lowest or the highest that he needs to get, the lowest that he needs to get to make it happen. I'm just saying. He's came off of Saturday night. He had like 164 yards of rushing, if I'm not mistaken. It was 160 plus. I know that much. And then you got Deuce Spann, and seeing what he did in this last game, how he got involved on that reverse, how he's been involved on that what we're calling an extended triple option play. What Norvell has been able to do with the transfer players alone is absolutely just amazing. Like, I know that other people did well in the transfer portal as well. They brought in decent players. Miami brought in transfer players. They said that they killed the transfer portal. I don't see any difference in their transfer players and the players that were already there. So, and then, last year, like VJ just put up, Jermaine Johnson. Look at Jermaine Johnson came in. If Jermaine Johnson doesn't come to Florida State, I don't personally believe he's a first-round pick, because he would have been hidden and shadowed at Georgia. If he would have stayed in JUCO, he would have probably never got the opportunity to go. And that, it's hard for me to speak like I know that that's the situation, but the whole reason that Jermaine came here is because he was not going to start for Georgia. So he came here to Florida State. You saw him show out. You also saw that he went in the first round to the Jets, and he's been showing out ever since. He's doing a hell of a job in the NFL. Then we get Jared Verse here as a defensive end. Now he has another year of eligibility left. Now it's going to be up to Jared Verse whether he comes back and runs this thing back again, or if he goes in the draft, he's a top 10 player. He will probably be drafted in the top 15, top 20, but his draft stock puts him in a top 15 player or a top 10 player. So it's up to Jared Verse whether he comes back or not. I pray that he does, because I think that these guys could really come out with some hardware if they all come back. If we could get the majority of them coming back. Unfortunately, people like Dylan Gibbons, he's not eligible to come back regardless of what you do. Cooper, he can't come back regardless of what you do. He's got to go. And I respect and appreciate everything that both of those gentlemen did for this team. It's absolutely amazing what they've done for this team. Coop came back this year to prove that this team was much better, much improved from what it was last year. And I think he's proven that. Lowry, again, everybody, forgive me if I'm not naming every one of them, but I've named a pretty good majority of them. Fabo could come back, and I said that earlier. But Fabian Levitt could come back if he wants to run it back one more year. Think about the interior push that he gives us. Think about how bad we missed him in that 3-game stretch against NC State, Wake Forest, and Clemson. We missed him terribly, but it is what it is. And moving forward, we've got things to look forward to this season. We've got things that are going to pan out, and hopefully they're to our favor. I truly believe they will be. We're going to go take care of business against this Louisiana Raging Cajuns team. I believe we're favored by 20-something points in this game. I don't see a problem with Florida State covering that. I think we'll have no problem covering that. I think that you see Tate Rodemaker, C.J. Campbell, other players that have the opportunity to come in that aren't redshirt freshmen or haven't played their 3 games. or 4 games, I think by the third quarter, maybe even by halftime, you start seeing some of those guys. And we get to see what they can do. We already got to see Tate this year against Louisville. He won that game for us. Did he single-handedly win the game? No. But did he come out and perform well enough for us to win that ball game? Absolutely. Think about how far Tate has came. Think about where he was before Tony Tokar's got a hold of him. Think about how much better J-Trav is as a pocket passer, as a passer, period, since Tony Tokar's has came in. I think Tony Tokar's being moved up was the best coaching call of the year. I think Norvell moving him up was the absolute best thing that we've done on the staff this year so far, other than hiring Corey Fuller. We hired Corey Fuller as an off-the-field staff to build relationships with these high school athletes. And y'all all watch Corey. He does the 1-minute motivation videos on the daily. Great Seminole. Everybody, if you don't know who Corey Fuller is, Google him. Find out who Corey Fuller is. An amazing Nole. Has done so much for this university, still doing for this university. You got Odell Higgins as our defensive line coach. Odell has developed these athletes into monsters. Think about this one. There's this one kid that came in 2022 that we haven't seen this year, that we're going to see next year. Defensive end, legacy recruit, Aaron Hester. Think he's going to be an absolute beast at Florida State. What he's going to be able to do here at Florida State. Then we got to be so excited to bring in Boots, which is Lamont Green Jr. It is going to be absolutely amazing. Lamont's killing it this year in high school, or killed it this year in high school. He was a tackle for loss, sack machine. I mean, and he was going against top tier talent. He wasn't going against no scrub teams. The love that Lamont and his son have for Florida State is absolutely second to none. And I can't wait to get him here. I can't wait to see what he can do. You got Vendravius Jacob. Another one. I mean, it's what we are doing, I think, is being overlooked based off of numbers. We're missing the fact of who we got coming in this 23 class and only seeing that it's ranked 18th. But you see what Norvell and their staff can do when they get the players that they want, that they're handpicking to put in key positions. It's not all about what star ranking they are. That's easy enough said, guys. Look, Miami was ranked talent per roster, was only second to Clemson this year in the ACC. They had the second most talented roster, meaning they had the most 4 and 5 stars. You've got 5-star Hakeem Williams coming in this class in 2023. 5-star wide receiver. Everybody was talking about how Coach Dugans couldn't recruit. Coach Dugans can't recruit. Coach Dugans is bringing a 5-star wide receiver in. Not the only wide receiver we're bringing in, but it's the only 5-star wide receiver we're bringing in. And Hakeem Williams is a day one contributor. No doubt in my mind. 350 yardage probably in year one. And that's with him being playing in a limited time so that he keeps his red shirt. But I'm doing this episode tonight to let everybody know not to just base what mainstream media is saying. Don't just listen to what mainstream media is saying. The ESPNs, the 247 Sports, the Rivals, whoever it is that you listen to. Hopefully you listen to me. I feel like that I'm a true fan, a true contributor to the University of Florida State. I'd get to talk to these athletes on a day-to-day basis. I'm not stating that I talk to every one of them every day. I'm stating that weekly I talk to numerous athletes at Florida State, numbers of athletes that are coming to Florida State, number of athletes that I know that we're going to flip to Florida State for this 2023 class. It's going to be fine. We already are fine. We already are exceeding beyond what people said we were going to this year. And I'm not trying to knock Taylor, but Taylor said we were going to go 7-5 this year. He had us potentially losing to Syracuse. And obviously, none of us knew that Syracuse was going to have that many injuries, and that Syracuse could have been a dark horse. None of us knew that Miami was going to be this bad. Like, I don't think anybody foreseen Miami being this bad. Oh, shit, wait a minute. I did. I said that they were going to be 5-7. And look, it's very possible that they win one more. It ain't going to be against Clemson. They might be able to pull one out against Pitt, but I doubt it. So they look, and here's another kid. I told you a minute ago, or a little while ago, that we were just absolutely stacked in the running back room. Cedric Baxter has been back to Florida State once for an official visit, once before that, after he's already committed to Texas. And we have a huge possibility of flipping him to Florida State. 5-star running back. Grew up a Florida State fan. Wants to come to Florida State. It's very possible that we flip him. Very possible. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we flip him. We've got just a number of things working in our favor with us going. I believe Cedric was at the Miami game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know for sure, but I think he was. But regardless, he either saw it on TV or saw it in person. Watched us absolutely dog walk Miami, beating them 45-3. You know, a lot of people were stating that they didn't think it was going to do much for the 2023 class. If we go in and beat a bad Miami team, stuff to that nature. Anytime that you beat your rivals, anytime you start trying to take away credit from wins, it means it's doing a lot. Just know that what we did against Miami mattered. It mattered a lot. What we did last year against Miami, where we beat them off of 4th and 14, and they were thanking us because we got Manny Diaz fired just so that they could look like a soup sandwich this year. Okay, I mean, I guess thank us, but it didn't improve anything. Maybe it improved you over the next 5 years, but sure the hell didn't do anything for you this year. And then, we're going to go and play. And I've told everybody this. I told everybody at the beginning of the season that I felt like the Florida Gators were a better team and would be a better opponent for Florida State than Miami. My two co-hosts told me I was crazy. They weren't worried about Florida. They were worried about Miami. And I kept saying that the Gators were – and yes, guys, I am knocking on my co-host a little bit. They're not here to defend themselves, but this is what happens when they miss. If you miss, then I get to dog walk on you a little bit. But both of my co-hosts stated that they were more worried about Miami this year than they were Florida. Florida has really picked it up over the past few games. Anthony Richardson looks like a completely different quarterback than he did in the third game of the season. He's found himself. He's starting to understand the playbook correctly. He's putting together pretty good drives on the offense. Now, has he played against our defense? No. Has their defense played against our offense? No. Do I think that we're going to go and beat Florida? Yes, I do. Do I think it's going to be a better game than what we did against Miami? Yes. I think it's going to be way more competitive. I think that this is going to be an amazing game to watch. I think it's going to be an amazing game to watch in person. I will be there. I will be extremely excited. I'll be screaming at the top of my lungs to watch Florida State dog walk the lot Blizzards. I mean, trust me, I want it. And I know you want it. There's only one team that I hate more than the Florida Gators, and that's Miami. There's only one team that I hate more than Miami, and that's the Florida Gators. We got nothing to worry about. There is no love lost with either one of those teams with me. Now, I will not lie to you and tell you that I don't want to see all three Florida schools doing well, because that's when college football is at its best. I like when we play against Miami, it means something. I like when we play against the Gators that it means something, because used to, if we beat those teams, we were going to a national championship. Or if they beat us, they were going to a national championship. So I do want to see that come back. Will that come back? I'm not sure, but I really hope that it does. Do you think we touch base with QB Emory Williams after the evacuation that's coming from that Coral Gables school? I can tell you that there is mutual interest from Florida State and Emory Williams, and Emory Williams has mutual interest in Florida State. I will tell you that that's one of the ones that I think flips. I'm saying that now. I may have said this before. I'm not positive. But I do believe that we flip a couple of the Miami, the ones that pulled the trigger too soon, buying into this Lion Cuban Mario Cristobal. This Josh Gaddis offense that they've got, it's not working, unfortunately. I can't worry about what Miami's going to do. I can't worry about where Miami's going to be at next year. Can't worry about where the Gators are going to be at next year. Like I said, I want all three schools to be relevant again. I do. Hell, Miami hasn't been relevant in 20 years. So I don't know that that's going to happen. I think the coach that had the tallest order out of all three schools, out of Florida State, Florida, and Miami, which meaning out of Mike Norvell, Billy Napier, and that Cuban down there, I think he had the tallest order. He's got a team that has been relevant for 2 decades. 2008, you could say, was the last time that the Florida Gators were actually relevant. But Florida State's relevancy didn't end until 2016. We went not been a national champion in 14, 15, or 16, but we were relevant. We were in the runs for 10. We had 10-win seasons. We had bowl appearances, et cetera, whatever it was. We've been the most relevant, and I think that's why Norvell's gotten the ship turned around so quickly. A lot of people wouldn't say that that's quick. Then you got to think about 4-star offensive tackle Lucas Simmons coming in. That's another one. And everybody, don't worry about when he went and visited the Florida Gators this past weekend. His team went. That was scheduled a long time ago. I don't believe we lose Lucas Simmons. I believe Lucas is tied in to Florida State. I think he's a lock. I think he signs in December with the Noles. I don't think there's any problem there. He said that there was, how he stated it is that they were doing something special in Florida. And he said, but his heart was with FSU, that they were also doing something special. So his heart's with us. He's coming to Florida State. I don't think there's any question about it. Do I think that Florida is going to continue to recruit him? Absolutely. They'd be stupid not to. But this is where our coaching staff has to do a good job and continuously communicate with these guys, continuously let them know why we want them here, why we need them here. Recruiting is the hardest part of this job, if y'all want my opinion. And I don't mean recruiting to get them here. I mean recruiting them to keep them. To keep them here is the hardest thing. Nowadays, college football is so much different than what it used to be. This transfer portal, NIL, all this stuff makes it much harder for these coaches to keep these kids here. There's no doubt about it. That's why I think Florida State's doing such a great job. I think that, your first-year coach comes in and wins 3 games. His following year, he only wins 5. If we win tomorrow or Saturday, he's won as many games this year as he has the 2 previous years combined. That's saying something. That's a hell of a turnaround. That's a hell of an achievement when you don't see teams achieve that in that short period of time. You don't see a team that wins 3 games one year, 5 games the next, turn out and win 8, 9, or 10. That doesn't happen. It's not a normality. So what the Noles are doing, what this coaching staff is doing is absolutely impressive. I think recruits are taking a definite look at it. They're definitely saying, hey, something special is going on in Tallahassee. I want to be part of that. Should I see myself being part of that? Then they start thinking about it real hard. We do need – here's what it is, VJ. We need a couple more off-the-field hires that make sense, that has relationships with the schools in Florida, the high schools in Florida. We need a couple of those guys. We don't have a huge off-the-field staff, which we will have next year. I wholeheartedly believe that we're going to make some hires this offseason that – excuse me for a second – that will definitely put us over the peak, should I say. I think we're going to hire some guys and gals that will put us over the top, that will be able to get some more of these athletes in. And here's the thing, though. Like y'all heard James talk about it on the last episode, there's a couple of guys that were considered coming to Florida State that are 4 and 5 stars that we've noticed in games that we don't want. They might have this ranking. It might be deserved, but you don't want that type of cancer in your locker room. It's very – you got to be very careful. It's not just about what their star ranking is. Do they fit your system? Do they fit the mentality? Do they fit the mindset of what this team's trying to do? Do you see how this running back core, for instance, how willing they are to give the ball up to the next guy, how willing they are to play for each other, how willing they are to want to see their brothers succeed just as much as them? That's not a normal trait. And I do believe that trait gets taught. The reason I say that is because I know a couple of these athletes when Coach Taggart was here that are still here at Florida State that were very much selfish, that were very much ball hogs. And after Norvell and the staff has worked and worked and worked, they've become some of the biggest giving contributors on the team. They've become some of the nicest ones. And before I forget, everybody, this episode is brought to you by Game Day Vodka. It's an all-American vodka. It's distilled in the United States. It is bottled in the United States. It is sold in the United States. It is a United States vodka company. They are the smoothest vodka in the country, in the world. They distilled this completely different with CO2. It's 6 times distilled over. It means they distill it 6 times. It's the smoothest vodka you'll ever have in your life. I'm just telling you right now. I will put it up against Belvedere. I'll put it up against Jose Cuervo. Whatever you got, we can put up Game Day Vodka against it. It's the best vodka I've ever had. And I'm not saying that because they're my sponsor. That's the reason I wanted them as my sponsor, because it was absolutely one of the best, and in my opinion, the best vodka that I've ever had. I've got it right here below me. They've got the Garnet and Gold bottles. You can go to their website at gamedayvodka.com. As long as you're 21 years or older, make a purchase. They've got the 750 milliliter bottles. They are the official vodka of Florida State University. And man, they are a great group of guys and girls. They are absolutely amazing people. They're so down to earth. They're working their tails off. They're not very old. They're not an old company. And here's the thing that I think most people worried about Game Day. And I think people think it's a gimmick because of the name. It's not a gimmick at all. And VJ said he finally got to try Game Day Vodka this past weekend. It was nice. And then that's about the best way you can describe it. It's so smooth. And that's like the kind of words, like if I could hear him say it, it's nice. It's a nice, smooth texture. It's a good vodka. Trust me. If you haven't had any, they are the official vodka of 8 other colleges, including 9 with Florida State. And they are the official vodka of 9 or 8 NFL teams. So if you're a Jaguars fan, I think they got Jaguar bottles. If you're a Florida State fan, they obviously have Florida State Garnet and Gold bottles. Be careful if you do go on there to order. Boston Colleges is really close, but we're the only one that's Garnet and Gold. So do make sure that you get the right one. And look, man, what I wanted to get to before the episode ended, I've got about 7 minutes left. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for how well y'all are doing on the group page. I can't tell you enough how much it means to me for y'all to go and join the Discord. The members that have joined the Discord and paid for your membership for the year, completely could not tell you how much I appreciate that. It is really hard to run all of this, and it sustains itself. It's expensive, but I wouldn't ask for it any other way. What y'all helped me accomplish, what SPEARATICS has become, is far bigger than my dreams ever took me with this. I just wanted to be the positive place for the fans to go. And man, it has grown into a monster. Um, SPEARATICS shirts. And remember, guys, when you go and buy the shirts, 20% of that goes toward FSU athletes. So please go check out my SPEARATICS shirts. I've got we run Doak South shirts. I've also got the SPEARATICS shirts like this one. They're very good quality, great made, and you'll see the prices. The prices is so I can give the athletes 20% of the sale. So what you're doing is not only buying a cool ass shirt and supporting the cool ass brand and supporting the best damn brand for Florida State that there is, as far as media goes, you're also giving to FSU athletes. So please make sure you go and check out the t-shirts. If you can get a couple of them, get one of them. Get your kids some. My daughter had another student at her school wear one, and she became instantly famous at her school because everybody wanted to sit with her because her dad, according to them, was famous. So please make sure you go out and buy a shirt to help support Florida State athletes. Please make sure that you join the Discord so you get all the injury updates. Make sure you join the Discord so you can get some of the insider information that I give. All the fans have done a great job about keeping everything hush-hush like I asked, because there's things I tell y'all that don't need to get out. It truly is sensitive information. It's not BS. It truly is something that does not need to get out, and y'all have done a great job by not letting it out. I appreciate that from each and every one of you. And all of the people that have wrote me that y'all love me and that some other things, but I love each and every one of y'all too. I appreciate the support. Y'all are the best fans. I'm telling you, we set a standard at SPEARATICS for Florida State fans, and y'all are by far showing each and every fan base, including our own fan base, that there is a standard to being a Florida State Seminole fan. You are proving it day in and day out. I know that y'all hold your tongues at times when we're not performing exactly perfect. I know that you support the team even when you're tired. You don't feel like it. You get on and make sure that you support the Noles no matter what. It's second to none, guys. I could not tell you in words how much what y'all do and what y'all are doing for SPEARATICS, what you're doing for the Nole Nation. I couldn't tell you how much it means. I don't think the fans get enough thanks. I don't think they get told enough how great they are. And Island Boy, you're 100% correct. We are all family. We are one big Florida State family, and we go to other people's stadiums and completely take over. We know that's for 100% a fact. I can't wait to see some of y'all that I haven't met. I got 1 minute left. Love each and every one of y'all. Florida State's going to go kick the Lot Lizards' ass this year. We're about to take down some Raging Cajuns. Y'all have a good night, and go Noles.